Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you had a great rest of the winter. It's been a while since we've gotten together here on the channel, and it's just been a busy season. We have been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Some of which I'll be sharing with you today. Other stuff is going to have to wait a little bit because it's a little bit of a surprise, but everything looks so amazing. The gardens are bursting into bloom. The trees are blooming. The perennials are breaking ground. My seedlings are almost ready to be planted. I have actually already planted quite a bit of things already. It's been a great spring so far. Wait until you see the Potager Garden, because that has really undergone a major transformation since we last chatted. You are gonna love it. So stay tuned, let's get at it. We're gonna start in the front porch garden and let me share what's blooming today. So one of my all-time favorite views is this one. Now last year, nothing was planted there, not one thing. We did have some celosia reseed itself from the prior owners, but other than that, I planted everything here last year. And in the fall, I took the time to plant a bunch of tulips and daffodils, some of which are done right now, but they really look amazing. And I just love that view, particularly with the flowering crab apples in the background. So pretty, right? So new to this garden, I just added a new container. I just wanted to change it up. The one that I had was it's just like seen better days. So I planted some alyssum and pansies, and I just really love the color with the house. I just think it looks really pretty. And I'll probably say I think it looks really pretty all season long as I do these videos, because I think that's like my go-to word, because everything does. It just looks so pretty. I have not done my front planters yet. I'm just gonna wait to do those because I've got some plants that I wanna wait for, and I don't wanna plant it twice, so I'm just waiting for that. But I've got some hellebores back there that look really good right now. They're in full bloom. Some ground covers in here like vinca and juga, and this is all rudbeckia. Now it grows almost like a weed here because it just kind of like pops up. So I have been moving some around, but as you can see, the daffodils are all done now, and you know, it's really just a pretty view. But let me show you some of what is planted in this garden, because this really is the spot right now. So these pink tulips are basically done, but I love them. I love how tulips look even as the petals drop. They're just so beautiful. So this is pink perennial, and I'll pop a little picture up on the screen so you could see what it looked like in its heyday. Really, really beautiful tulip. I mean, the pink is just gorgeous, and I really enjoyed this one. I actually want to get some more. So I've got some double flowering tulips that are just starting to open up along this border. I did plant some down there last year, and they looked amazing. And I didn't plant any more down there, although people told me I should, because they don't usually come back. And I would say about 50% of them returned, while the other half not so much. So if I want to grow those double flowering ones down there again, I'm gonna have to replant them. But I did plant some up here, and I'll pop the varieties on the screen because I don't know them all off the top of my head because I just planted so many. But I do know that this one is tulip Palmyra, one of my favorites. I love that deep, like red wine hue, right? So pretty. And I love it with the pansies, that purple color, that bluish purple, just really looks so pretty with it. And then I've got some double flowering daffodils in here. So they always look so lovely in the garden. And really a bunch of them are coming in now and starting to bloom. Now I did plant a row of Globemaster alliums. I don't know what happened to that one. Maybe a critter got to it and dug it out. But so it is missing. I'm gonna have a little hole there this year. But look at that view. Isn't that something? Those flowering crab apples, they go for about a good week or so, and it's just amazing here. I just love that view. So I've also got some Fritillaria megliaria. I If I'm saying that correctly, I'll pop that one on the screen. They're kind of on their way out, as you can see. They were blooming a couple days ago. Then I've got some perennials coming back. I don't know if you guys remember, I had cream caramel coreopsis. One of them came back, the other two did not. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But look at this color combination of tulips. I wanna say that's tulip replete. I'm gonna have to look it up and pop it on the screen, but it looks really, really pretty with those daffodils. Look at that. Isn't that something? So I am noticing a few volunteers of Baptisia. I definitely did not have one planted here. And I don't believe there was one planted there either last year. There is one there. There is another one back in here somewhere, and I know there's one over there, but I definitely don't want it growing right there. So I'm gonna have to dig that one out and move it. I do have some spots where I wanted to grow Baptisia, so that's kind of perfect. We did just have the beds mulched, and I've been asked before, do you do all this yourself? And the answer is no. There's no possible way I could mulch all these gardens by myself. It would just be too much and it would take me too long. I did used to do them at my old house, but here it would just be too much. So I haven't really planted the front porch yet. Again, I'm just gonna wait for summer annuals before I kind of do any of this stuff. Like I'll do hanging baskets and stuff again. I just don't feel like spending the money, and it's really because we've been working on other projects that have needed money, and I kind of had to pick and choose where we were spending. There is a little bird's nest in the wreath, so that's why we've got some birds scoping out why I'm standing here, because they want to go back to their nest. So we'll kind of head on out. But I just want to quickly show you, not too much is happening in here right now. We do have some boxwoods, and I really do not love the barberry there. That is going to come out. I do want to do like a row of hydrangeas here at some point, maybe in the fall, but I definitely, this is just, I don't love this. So anyway, that's it. That's the front porch garden. And why don't we walk down and I'll show you more of the grounds. All right, so now that we're down in the front yard beds, you can really get a sense of all of those spring flowering bulbs, right? They looked so gorgeous. They're kind of starting to fade out a little bit now. Not all, but what's really helped has been from planting different types of daffodils and tulips, so you kind of get an extended season out of them. So I mean, I have some deadheading to do out here, I know, but you can see I've got some more of those double flowering tulips out here, and I've got some windflowers. They are almost done. It's anemone blanda blue shades. Moved a bunch of my knockout roses. I don't know if you guys remember, but I bought a bunch of knockout roses to go in here, and once I saw all the beds fill in, I felt that they should kind of be grouped together a little bit differently. So in fall, I moved them around, and I really think this is gonna look good. I'll just have like a nice little patch in here. And this bed's gonna just have something always kind of happening. I've got a viburnum here, some 9-bark, some Siberian irises. I planted limelight hydrangea from Proven Winners. We've got some 9-bark in here. This border is kind of wrapping up. This is on the other side of the driveway, and I just adore that view that way. We've got the flowering crab apples, baby's breath spirea. I'm gonna pop a photo or another clip on the screen just so you can see how gorgeous this plant was. I mean, if you don't have one, it's really, really pretty in spring. But this whole bed is filled with daffodils, and they're just starting to wrap it up now. But it was so pretty when they were blooming, and I'll have to, again, kind of pop a little picture or a little little video just so you can see how pretty it was. I mean, there are still some flowers that are going to come in, but for the most part, they're pretty much done. You have to get out here and deadhead them. It's really important to leave the foliage though if you're growing spring flowering bulbs, because you got to leave the foliage until it yellows, because that is where the bulb is storing its energy for next year's flowers. So I will come out here and like deadhead the flowers just so they don't go to seed, and then I'm actually going to leave it. It doesn't always it's not always pretty, but it's really important for next year's flowers. So don't cut them back until that foliage is yellow. Last fall, I dug up and divided some Sedum Autumn Joy, so I planted some of those in here. I do have some Nepeta and Moonbeam Coreopsis in here as well. A flowering crabapple gets me every time. But what I really want to show you guys right now is the Potager Garden, because that has gone through the most changes. I mean, you can see it now. It's so amazing. Let's go. And so this is where we have put most of our time and effort over the last probably month and a half. My husband and his friend Mark built all of these raised beds, and I'm amazed. They look so good. My husband designed all the beds. We do have an area open where we'd like to put maybe a fountain or something. I don't know, I'm still kind of looking around and shopping around for stuff, but I've already started planting some celery and some scallions and onions and things. And then in that bed, I have 24 dahlias. Now I know it is a little early to plant them, and I don't recommend you do it just yet because it is early, at least in my zone. I don't know about yours, but here in zone 6A, it's definitely a little early, but I am watching the weather. And if we get a freeze, I'm gonna really cover this bed to keep them warm. I also planted some larkspur that I winter sowed here, and some Oreganum Kent Beauty. The rest of the beds are not done yet because I'm waiting for my seed starts. I'm going to fill the rest of these beds in with zinnias and snapdragons and calendula, borage. I've just got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be putting in here, and I'm really, really excited about it. So I don't know if you guys remember, but that arbor had seen better days. It did not look good, and it was falling apart. It was totally rotting out. So we wound up buying a new arbor, a cedar arbor from Gardener Supply, and I hated doing this, but I painted it green. It was really beautiful before, and I really wish I didn't have to do it, but it did need to match the fence. And so here it is, all green. And it looks like it's been here forever because of the Lonicera that's growing on it. So when we took the rotting arbor out, we just rewove the Lonicera back on, and it worked pretty well. I do need to tame it a little bit. It's a little wild right now, but overall, I'm really happy with it. Last year, the Lonicera had a little bit of a fungal problem, so this year I'm gonna kind of focus on that a little bit more to hopefully preserve the foliage a little bit better than last season. So then here's our new dining space, and I love it. You're gonna definitely see some beautiful dinner parties out here over the next couple of months, but I decided to do a very simple centerpiece idea with some terracotta pots and some lavender. And then I do have some herbs planted over here. I'm probably not keeping them all in here. I just kind of threw them in just because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them when I bought them, and I wanted to get them going. But I do want to make some room in here for tomatoes and zucchini and cucumbers and stuff like that. So I have to kind of rework this bed a little bit, and I'll probably move them around the outskirts. So I do have some onions planted here. I planted some more celery down here. As you can see, I already started moving some of the herbs down. I've got some different sages down here. One of the biggest changes we made though is, I don't know if you remember, but there were boxwoods going around this entire garden. Some of them looked good, some of them didn't, and I showed you some that I had moved to the other beds. Well, some of them that didn't look so good are not here anymore, and the others are just in other gardens. And actually, most of them are doing pretty well, except the one that I showed you before. But anyway, in their place, I planted a bunch of bare root roses from Proven Winners. So I've got Ringo roses along the side, and they don't look like much right now, but their blooms are so pretty. You get these like yellow, white with these little pink centers, and it looks like the blooms just change a lot. So I'm really excited to grow those and see how they bloom, and I think they'll look really pretty along the fence. I also planted, and these I'm really excited about, Atlas roses from Proven Winners. They get this like peachy color, they don't need deadheading, and they have like a really beautiful fragrance. So I thought that would be really lovely as we sat out here dining. I thought that would be a really nice touch. So I have them going all along here. And I'm really excited to watch them grow and bloom. I think they're gonna look amazing. Also along the back, I've got some sweet peas that I winter sowed. I've got Streamer's chocolate, and I think, is it called Wedding Crasher? I'm gonna have to look that up. It might be called Wedding Crasher. But I have a mix of them going on in here, and so far so good, no rabbits. I am going to test a deer repellent on them. Now I don't get deer in here, but I am gonna test a deer repellent on them that supposedly also repels rabbits and other types of animals. It's called Plant Skid. I'm gonna link it in the video. I am now using this on my plants as a deer repellent because it is systemic and does more than just, it's not just a topical repellent. The plant actually takes it in. So I think that's better, obviously, and if it works against rabbits too, and groundhogs and things like that, I am all about it. And the last garden that we're going to kind of talk about today is this is the Cottage Garden. Last year this bed was completely full of liriope, and I took it all out, and we have been planting it up. I moved some hydrangeas in here. There were some existing plantings. There were some roses and some peonies, but other than that, I planted everything else. And I spent a lot of time in fall planting in between the perennials with daffodils and some tulips. I mean, look at those pretty flowers. Aren't they beautiful? I do need to get out here and start potting up the cement planter and start really working on this bed. I haven't, I'm kind of just waiting for my seed starts to harden off and be able to be outside, because those are going to go in this bed. And it should really fill in a lot better than it did last year. I recently planted some clematis. I planted Josephine and indigo sapphire to grow up, or sapphire indigo, to grow up the beautiful green garden fence. And I'm really excited to watch this garden grow and come together, because much like the other beds, I filled in this back half over here with some divisions from other gardens on the property. So it's going to be really exciting to watch it kind of grow, bloom, and change. And wherever I'm seeing holes is where my seedlings are going to go. So it's going to be, quite a transition during the growing season this year. And that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Stacy from Bricks and Blooms. Enjoy a beautiful day.